So welcome to Carl's Fishing. We're going to be taking a look at the loop rig. This is the rig I've decided to use and I'm going to adapt it to suit my needs. I want to make sure that the hooks can be interchangeable, so I can use big hooks and small hooks for worms, large baits, crab, squid, anything you name. So let's pop on over to the workshop and have a look and see what we can do to make this rig work for me. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but in the meantime, let's have a look at this rig. Right, let's get down to the business end of this loop rig. Now, if you're new to this channel, thanks for watching. It's great to see you, it really is. Don't forget, hit that bell icon down there for notifications and any future videos. I'm going to try and be more informative in a lot of videos I'm doing in the future regarding rigs, explaining why I'm doing what. Like I said at the intro, I'm going to do a loop rig, which is going to be the rig body, the basic components and a few little tweaks just to make it better for me. Now the rig body is just the intermediate line between your shot leader and your weight. It's a solid piece of kit that has to be strong for casting purposes and to help with any debris on the bottom of the ocean, the sea, whereabouts you're fishing, to be perfectly honest. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create the rig body. Now I'm going to do a short rig which is easier for me to show to camera. So this is only going to be about a foot. It's not going to be big, but it's going to be a foot, right? And you make it as big and as short as you want it. Shorter they are, greater they are for casting, but we'll explain the rest as we go along. So I'm going to cut this first and create what I want. I like to have mine on a speed link or some form of a link. Now there's loads out there, but I'm going to keep it really simple without branding, just so you know where we're up to. I'm just going to mount this on this link here, as you can see there. Nice and simple. See it? I'm going to do a blood knot on the top of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Always wet it and put it back through. Like so. Now get yourself a knot puller. Carp anglers use them, and I've seen anglers use them for years, just to pull your knot tight there. And you can see the tag end, and just cut that tag end off there, just by my fingernail. That's that. This is only a foot. It's very short. This is a very short rig, but for the purpose of filming, it's ideal for the camera scale. The next I'm going to put on is some small beads. These are little small beads that I use. You can see in there. Just touch it at the camera so it can zoom in there. Some small beads right in there. Now I'm going to make this even more simpler. I'm going to show you what goes on first and foremost on here. Now, if you can see there, there's the link going from this point. Here's the link, then there's a small bead, then there's a swivel, then there's a small bead. Make sure that that small bead is smaller than the spring, so that spring is like, we get on hangover springs, so there's the springs that you get there. Trident and Tackle do them, but this isn't sponsored by them in any way. So I use them springs. So then you've got a spring, then you've got another little bead here. Yeah, like that. Now all this will become prevalent in a minute or two, because what I want to put on here then is a crimp. Now when I put the crimp on, I don't put the crimp on tight, and make sure you can move the crimp. Just get the crimp now. Now crimp is a tube of steel if you're new to fishing, sea fishing, that gets squozen onto the line. So I'm just going to put that there, piece of tubing. I'm going to mark that onto the rig body, so it's there, and that'll become very prevalent in a while. So what I do with that, I don't squeeze it too much, I just give it a little bit, just a little, just make sure I can move it a little bit, just keep on scrimping it a little bit until you can feel you can move it and slide it up. Right, so that's what you want, is so you can slide it, okay, and then just do a little more to make sure you can just, there we go. So that's that. Now we've got the top part in place, we're going to do the bottom part. So that's the top part with the crimp on and the spring. The bottom part is where the loop part of the hook link or snood is going to go. So the first part we put on there is we put on another crimp, as you can see there. Slide that on. Then I'm going to put on another bead there. Then we're going to put on a swivel with a speed link attached to it there. Okay, so let's go a little swivel. Okay, hold that correctly so you can see it. So you know what I mean there, like that. There. Okay. And I'm going to put another little bead on. So it's only my version of it, so if you do your own, you know, comment below, but it's entirely up to you. It's your own fishing, no one's here twisting your arm to watch the video, but any advice you can give people, feel free. So the next point you're going to put on there is that. So on this point I've got essentially that. That's that. Next at the bottom, I'm going to tie this to another link there that can put the weight on. Just tie that off in a blood knot. I always use a blood knot, it's just fine. There's loads of knots you can use out there for sea fishing, but I always find a 5-turn blood knot sufficient. I've never had one fail. Let it. Pull it to with your hook puller. So that's pulled tight now. Cut the tag end off. There you go. Put that on there. Right. So that's the bottom part done. Okay, nice and neat. Now, you can buy the bottom part already done, which are like a swivel and a little T-bar like that on a crimp. If you can see that, but that's okay, but I just prefer a swivel, normal swivel, and constructed like that. So what I'm going to do with that part now, I'm going to crimp it at the bottom. A little bit up, a couple of inches up like that, not much. I'm going to crimp it off so you can see it. That's 1, 2, 3. So that's now crimped like that. Now the reason why I put that on there and that on there is for changing things. And on this one here, this normal swivel, you can notice I can slide that up and down now, it stays in place. You know what I mean? That's the top part. And it's a very small rig this, but it's only for give you an indication of scale. It's only so it's in front of the camera, you can see it being constructed. So the hook link on this is going to go from there. You'll see it in a second. Let's put a weight on it to give you an idea where we're up to. Now I always like to use a splashdown. This is a splashdown here. Buy them in shops. This mounts your hook. So what happens is, if we put that there, you mount the hook in that little gate there, and when that locks it off. So when you pull it like that up, you can put your hook in there and pull it down. It locks off in place. When that hits the water, it goes up and releases a hook, which you'll see in a minute. So what I'm going to do now is, off that part at the bottom that I've just done, I'm just going to mount that straight on there. Like so. Okay? So that's going to go there. Now this part here is where the hook link is going to go around Hook's going to sit in there. That's going to be the loop. Right, let's tie the rig. Now this is what's important to me. This is the bottom part of the hook system, but the reason why I'm going to do it this way is I'm going to explain. First on this one, this rig, this is going to be for worms on the bottom, so it's a pennel rig for large blow lug at the bottom. I'm just tying that there. Again, good old fashioned blood knot. Wet it, pull it tight, get a hook puller. Once she's there, pull it nice and tight. Another little tip I've got for you is these little hooks you get in yellow packets. They're alright for one session, but they rust really quickly, and when they're stored in your fishing tackle they rust and they send everything else to garbage. So always make sure you get high quality hooks. It's worth paying that a little bit more. So I'm doing a pennel on this one, which is 2 hooks, sliding hook on here like that. So that's going to be small, as you can see, so I can put a worm on there. I can wrap that round, have the bait on there, and I have it like that with the worm in between, nice and small. So I can also interchange this now, what I'm going to be doing next, onto something a bit bigger, like a 5/0 or 4/0, and just make bigger baits on there as well. So I'm going to make this quite short. So that's the hooks on the line there, tied on, like so. Now I'm going to put a size 10, 100 pound. Make sure you can see that. 100 pound black, could be silver, could be any colour you want, swivel. Alright, so that's going to be there like that. Now most people tie that onto a Cascade swivel. I'm not doing that. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So that's made up into a very short rig. Okay, as you can see there. Not big at all. Perspective, not very big. 30 pound amnesia. So we've got a weak part, but it makes no difference really, because if you're fishing on 20 pound line and everything else is bigger than 20 pound, get it caught in some rocks, it's going to go anyway. Get the idea. So that's that. The loop part of the rig, you'll see in a second what I'm doing. Now in case this part, the long part of the rig at the bottom snood or hook link gets damaged, I can change it easily now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this off, another 100 pound size 10 swivel, pull that tight like so, and cut the tag end off. Usually I burn the tag ends with a lighter, but I'm not doing that today. It's only for demonstration purposes. Now this swivel that just tied with a piece of line attaches to that speed link, just put on there like that. Can you see that? And this part here I'm going to put on rotten bottom like this. Let's take this back off so you can see what I'm doing. So this here, I'm going to get this, and I want that to be rotten bottom, as you can see there. Make sure you can see it. I'm going to tie to the loop here. Okay, and I want it about that length. This is for the loop. Blood knot again. I'm going to use a 6 turn blood knot on that. You'll see why this all becomes prevalent in a minute. Wet it, pull it, not pull it. There we go. That's that. Now why, you may ask, have I put that on the bottom of there? Well, what I'm going to do next is just bend that a little bit more up, as you can see there. And this is the snood body, yeah, with an adapted rotten bottom. And what you'll see next is this now clips onto there, which means that the bottom of the rig is always interchangeable. That I can tie loads of them up and can change them accordingly to keep the hook sharp and go bigger or smaller. So if we want to go to a big piece of mackerel, I can change the rig body at the bottom, and you get the idea, don't you? And this attaches to the bottom, so the bottom part of the rig here is also adjustable. Well, is also like kind of be changed. Now when this clips into here, you'll see, pull that down. Now that goes into there. Okay, that's the rig body, and as you can see now, you get that. Yeah, move that out of the way, you don't need to see that. Pull that up out there. You end up with that. That's your loop. That's why it's called a loop rig. Can you see that? That's the loop. Yeah, that's in the actual splashdown. Now, this point here, the rotten bottom, which I've done, which is right there, you can see now, that becomes its own little cascade. It doesn't need to be a swivel. It just does the rest. I'll show you what the rest does now. It all makes sense as it all goes along. It is a complicated rig, I know, but it's the rig I'm going to be using a lot because I'm making it interchangeable. Again, rig body. Again, size 10 swivel. Now, not perfect, I forgot to do something. When I put the first swivel on, I meant to put one of these on. Okay, with a speed link at the top and the swivel. You can see it just there like that. Meant to put one of them on. Yeah, and I didn't. So I'm going to have to make one. So you know what I mean. So, that's the top. That down there. That's the top. I'm just going to clip that on there. I'm going to close that down too again. Okay, so that just holds the swivel in place. That's it. So that's where it is. You see that? Put the wrong part on. Stupid me. Hang that up there. So I'm just going to make a normal rig now. That's it. Just a normal rig. So I can make quite a few small normal rigs with beads on, whatever I want to put on it. 6-turn blood knot. Tie that through. Tighten it up. Knot puller. I'm going to put a 1/0 Aberdeen worm hook on this one, which is just there, as you can see. 6-turn blood knot. Now I used to put a load of beads on my fishing, like multicoloured beads for the flatfish. I don't tend to do that anymore. Now and again go through a phase where I put it all on, but generally I'm casting out every 10 minutes when I'm fishing with worm anyway. Go and pump my own worm. It's more cost effective to do it that way. Let's just cut that off. Right, rig's nearly done now. So what we're going to do, that's just going to go on that speed link there, like that. As you can see, acts as a little bit of a boom. I'm going to clip the hook, bottom hook, into that. As you can see there, that's what usually people use a cascade swivel, but I use a rotten bottom. And that goes up to there. Okay, so this is just for the purpose of getting it in shot. So the bottom hook link there, there's a loop that comes out there. Now this point here, as you can see there, that's with a spring on it. So all you do is you just send it up a little bit, and it just gives a bit of tension in it. So it gives tension in the hooks when you're casting. Not much, so you see I can still move it. So I want a little bit more tension there. Just going to give it a tension there, give it a squeeze. Just a little squeeze. Not much, just a little bit more. And that there is a loop rig. Now it's very small, that. You could fish with that. As soon as it hits the bottom, it all comes apart. So at the bottom you've got a long rig at the bottom, you see, to keep it away from the rig like that. And this is close to the bottom anyway. This sits on the bottom there, as you can see, and that can fish your worm. So that's what it's like when it's all complete. It's only a small rig that, but that's the rig you're going to be using. So the reason for the whole video is that the way I do it is everything is interchangeable, so I can change the top easily, like that, okay. Bottom, I can change the body easily. Put that back in there. And also the hook rig at the bottom, I can change the different hooks as need be off the body as well. Leave the body intact and just change the bottom part of the rig as well. Nice and simple. That's it. Go for casting distance, interchanging your rigs, and that's just my version of the loop rig. Little spring at the top there, as you can see. Just there. Nice and simple. Voila. Right, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm not great at explaining things too well, but at least we've got something. You've got an idea what I'm fishing with now. That's it. I like that. Nice and simple. Means everything's interchangeable. You could actually, on these, get rid of the speed links here, and you could put some split rings on as well. If you want it more secure, you can put split rings on, stainless steel split rings, and you can keep it more compact and in place. If I lose a rig because it's come off or whatever's happened, it's just found its way off, I'm not going to lose any sleep. I'll put another one on. That's the whole point of it. And where before I've seen people make these up, to be honest, they made them up so you can't interchange things. You've got to remake it from scratch. So I want to make sure the body does all the work and I can change everything that's off the body nice and easy. And that's it. Right, see you on the next video.